criticism. Or if you criticize, make it also be accompanied by a voice of solution and from a place.
What really went down when reggae's next Bob Marley just vanished for 5 whole years? Scammers straight up stole his name, booked fake shows, and cashed in like it was nothing? That was Chronixx. The same man 9,000 fans in Ethiopia and tore up Coachella's stage before suddenly disappearing into... We're talking about the reggae icon Jamaican. Yeah, the real one, who dipped out light while his wife stayed low-key. Meanwhile, he was working on something he called a waste man on Instagram. The internet went wild, like the whole world turned on him overnight. But what people didn't see was that secrets were hiding behind all that silence. His grandmother passed him wisdom that schools tried to erase. Deep, it almost covered his entire future. What she passed down wasn't just family talk. It was truth, carried through generations. And when the system, that truth nearly broke him apart before he even...
People did really have understanding that people did would understand. You know what I mean? Is a youth express him arise within it.
Then came the second. While everyone thought he'd quit music during those 5 lost years, the real story was way more shocking. Turns out, he wasn't hiding or wasting time. He was doing something totally different. What his wife knew all along, and was secretly building these doors, everything upside down. The truth about what he refused to give away and what his silence really meant was nothing like what anyone imagined. And trust me, the final reveal, you're not ready for it yet. The 10th came around, years after Bob Marley had already left this world. And in Jamaica, a young boy named Orlando was writing through his own story. His father, Chronixx, the game, into massives in New York. Legends like Jigs King and Benton flying back and forth to America, chasing sound and while Omar wing up something even bigger. He grew up surrounded by churches, different ones every week. He played drums, hit his heart out in the choir, became the heartbeat of his family, the one thing that kept everyone smiling in the house. His mom full of faith in hymns, while his dad moved with a whole other rhythm. When they came home, it was all reggae, dancehall, and Rasta vibes blasting through the walls.
Here comes trouble, here comes the danger. Whenever you cry, they see me smile, but they don't know what I feel inside. It's just a certain where you are anchored. I can, yeah. My 2 hands in the air, that's fucking sweet. Everybody wanna feel like.
There was truth in that sound, real balance. Never too religious, never just pure, raw energy and soul. That balance between his mother's Christianity and his father's Rastafari spirit, everything that came after. It wasn't just it was 2 worlds colliding inside one kid. But hold up, because what is taught him to erase, and that nearly destroyed before it even had to begin. At just a start, he already knew his place. The studio, that was his temple, his playground, his escape. He got hooked on the process, chasing that perfect sound like it was oxygen. But no one ever explored what making music really meant, how deep how much it could hold. So where did all this come from? That sacred knowledge. Yeah, it be taught from books. He had friends like Kim Booth and Leroy, and he personally knew Bunny Wailer. Imagine that. Legends dropping truth on him in real conversations. But the real wisdom, that came from his grandmother. The same lessons her great-grandmother down through generations, carrying power that no classroom could ever touch. That's how the real knowledge moved, passed down from voice to generation to... But here's the heartbreaking truth. Schools to all of that.
My father wasn't a Christian. My mother was a Christian who go to church. So we go to our mother. When we go to our father, he's Gregory Isaac and Olivia Rasta. I was never too religious and I was never superficially spiritual.
He never fell for their programming though. He stayed rooted in family, always wanting to hear his grandmother's words. She wasn't by any, but everything she knew came straight from oral tradition, wisdom spoken, not written. The school wanted to strip that away to something he wasn't, but he refused to let go of what she taught. That one lesson, that magic wasn't evil, that their stories were sacred, saved him from being wiped out culturally. It protected his identity, everything around him to rewrite who he was. The breakthrough, before everything changed forever. The year Here Comes Trouble dropped, and the whole world finally heard the truth sound. Then came Smile Jamaica, and that track lit everything up. People who'd been sleeping on him stood tall and started paying attention. Next, he dropped Chronology, his first full-length album. It was the moment the world started whispering that he might be the next Messiah. The buzz was insane. At Park show in New York, more than 8,000 people showed up, the biggest crowd of his career. It was electric, like everyone there knew they were watching history unfold. But right when everything seemed perfect, one move changed his whole relationship with it forever. Barack Obama of Jamaica and called a waste man, Jamaican slang for a useless man. All because Obama didn't clear Marcus Garvey's criminal record. And just like that, K exploded online. The same fans who had been calling him the next Bob Marley, the Messiah, flipped on him in an instant about why he said it and the lesson he from that chaos, the game. After that online explosion started moving different, he became sharper, more intentional, finally realizing that his voice wasn't just heard, it mattered.
By the time I was 14, I knew I was going to end up in a studio. Somehow either mixing or engineering or writing. Ken Booth is my friend, Siblings is my friend. I know Bonnie Whale and all of these people. We have conversations. You know, my grandmother tell me, her great-grandmother told me. My grandmother wasn't educated in school, so everything's oral tradition. School corrupts the oral tradition. You feel like it doesn't make sense.
Every word carried power, and the world was listening. Then life hit him in a whole new way. He was born. The father upside down. Didn't matter. The industry didn't matter. Not even the internet he cared about most. Family. That became his center, his peace, his purpose. When he spoke into the public eye, he compared it to having a newborn. You don't want the whole world's hands on something that precious. That metaphor hit, and it's about his silence, because what came next in his life? That was the hardest, most painful chapter of all. Then came Eternal Light with the Free Nationals, his first U.S. gold certification, a massive milestone that proved his sound and hit deep. That same year, he started something far bigger, Exile, the album that 6 long years of blood, sweat, and silence to finish.
Trouble, here comes the danger. Welcome the savior, welcome the blood.
Then, out of nowhere, silence, a total vanishing act. His social media went quick, no big performances, no interviews, nothing. From the year the world shut down until the moment he finally came back, fans couldn't stop talking. Where's Chronixx? Is he done with music? Okay? The internet swore the fire had burned out. Chronixx flamed, but they couldn't have been more wrong. In Jamaica were confused. They thought the spark was on the dead. But what he later revealed flipped that whole story. The fire, it was just burning in a different place. He was out there performing in corners of the world Jamaica hadn't seen reggae since the days of the brothers. That flame was alive, spreading through new soil, new ears, new hearts.
I actually was saying what people wasn't expecting of you to say. That was where a lot arise from, which was more inward pressure. Like going to perform, optical uprising. You're always thinking like at the beginning of your music when you should be enjoying the creative process of being an artist and the freedom of being an artist. Are you confined you to this thing? Criticize, make it also accompanied by a voice of solution and from a place of solid reasoning.
Then came another storm when a mostly white reggae band won the Grammy for Best Reggae Album. The internet went crazy, calling it disrespectful, calling it culture. But Chronixx is ground and he defended them same year, just a different kind of blaze. Then came the Spotify mess, a full-blown controversy. Went public, calling out Spotify, unauthorized uploads appear under his name. Someone out there was cashing in on his music without permission, using his art to make money while he stayed quiet. But it did that year and into the next. The scams got even worse. Fake to be him, his shows, taking people's money and using his face to pull it off. Chronixx had to jump online and warnings. He told fans straight up, all officials through Chronixx.com. While the world was out there, assuming he'd quit, he was actually fighting off identity thieves in real time. But here's the real the thing his wife already the truth that flipped the whole upside down. While everyone thought he disappeared, he was right at home, surrounded by love. His wife, Calissa, an artist herself, and his music. His house had turned into a full-blown studio.
Girl, smile, hey, smile for me, Jamaica.
He never was recording, not for a second. And when he finally spoke about what kept him grounded, his answer was so powerful: love and focus. That was the real secret. He'd been creating in silence, protecting his music, his family, and his peace from a world that always would grab hold of things before they're ready. When he finally spoke a powerful truth, he said, the only real threat to an artist is losing themselves. That line hit deep because it came from someone who had lived it. Then August rolled around of his comeback. Wild when Chronixx finally stepped back on stage at a UK festival, major in years. The energy was unreal, like the world had been holding its breath just waiting for this moment. That same night, he made the announcement fans had been for. Exile, his second album, was coming October 10th. His birthday, his 33rd spin around the sun. When October finally arrived, Exile dropped, 17 tracks deep. This time, he made it clear, the same way anymore. He was creating with intention, with patience, and with the wisdom he earned through silence. Exile wasn't just a first major project in a decade. The sound was roots reggae, refined and intentional. And the moment it hit, straight to #1 on the US iTunes chart. But here's the why, even heartbreaking. The album dropped the same week Hurricane moved through Jamaica, destruction in its path. Yet somehow, Exile became the heartbeat of recovery. Its songs, especially Hurricane, anthem for rebuilding, for hope, for survival. People clung to like medicine, didn't just sing about healing, and helped, joining rebuilding effort with his people when they needed him most. He came later, the revelation that tied his whole story together. He started speaking about sustainability, about giving back to the earth, and about something his mother always told him. You can't give what you don't have. That's where the now famous melon metaphor came in. He explained how even the fruit needs time to grow, how real giving starts from being full yourself. That was the lesson, the truth his grandmother's oral tradition carried all along. He said it plain and simple. You can't protect your family if you're running on empty. You can't make real music if you're chasing numbers instead of meaning. And you can't be present for your daughter if you're too busy trying to stay relevant everywhere else. That mindset became his compass. Chronixx was married to Calista, a fellow reggae artist who stood strong through every silent year. Together, they were more than partners. They were a team, musically and in life. Their cup winner, Best Love remix, the track, was proof that love and could move as one. While the we'd given up, they knew exactly what he was building in that quiet space. Then, in July of the year before his big return, his crew launched something groundbreaking, Jam Summer Camp, a fully funded 4-week program, rhythms and programming to just high school students. No gimmicks, no limits, pure opportunity. Jamcast has graduated over 100 students from all 14 parishes of building a new generation of thinkers, creators, and visionaries. That's what he meant when he talked about growing melons, planting seeds that feeding others. And when he called it spiritual music, he said it always fought to live, no matter what storms hit, no matter who to bury it, because truth, once sung, never dies. It's never revealed his net worth. The numbers spoke for themselves. Between massive streaming, sold-out international tours, Grammy nominations, and hit albums, the industry knew he was sitting on solid ground. But what made his story powerful wasn't the money, it was how he built it. His fun sustainability, growth, showed he wasn't chasing fame anymore. He was creating generational wealth, something real, lasting, and not just music. He never quit music. He just made a choice. He chose family. He chose silence. He chose to Jamar, the same man who wrote Here Comes Trouble before the world even knew his name. Then he finally came 17 tracks of pure intent, felt otherworldly. Melissa was tearing through yet his album of recovery through chaos. That wasn't just a comeback, that was cosmic alignment. That was what he meant by giving melons, because he grew the melons himself, patiently, quietly, with the scammers who stole his name, his bookings, his image. But they could steal the truth he was really doing. He'd been growing real fruit in silence. So when he finally returned, he had something genuine, powerful, and overflowing to give. When Exile finally settled into chaos, quieted, something new started to do. He wasn't chasing headlines anymore. He was legacy. He began speaking openly about balance, peace, and what it truly meant to live with purpose. He kept waiting for another controversy, another clip, but he was on a different frequency now. His energy had from proving himself to loving himself. He built a home studio surrounded by fruit trees, turning his yard into a creative sanctuary. Every track he made came from a place of calm, not competition. When interviewers asked about fame, he laughed and said, "Fame is loud, but it's got the best rhythm." That line went viral, but because it was honest. In Jamaica, his influence beyond music. Youth programs started quoting his in schools, and local farmers began referencing his disability talks. His movement wasn't just about reggae anymore. It was about rhythm, roots, and responsibility. When people asked if Exile marked his comeback, he smiled and said, This is a reminder that silence doesn't mean absence. It means growth." That's where Chronixx stood now, calm, grounded, and unfocused. No scandals, no fakes, no noise. Just truth and timeless music blooming from the same soil that's him. After Exile, he started moving like a man who'd seen the other side of chaos. He wasn't chasing it anymore. He was building something sacred, something that couldn't be stolen or streamed. About creative protection, the idea that not everything needs to live online, that some art is meant to breathe quietly until the world is ready to listen. He began traveling again, not for fame, but for connection. From Nairobi to Kingston, from London to he met artists, farmers, and spiritual leaders who reminded him of his grandmother's lessons, wisdom that you share but never sell. Everywhere he went, people said the same thing, spoken in any song. And when fans asked if it would be another album, he didn't give a straight answer. He just smiled and said, "Music finds me when it's time." That was his way of saying he was done forcing it. He was now on mentorship, helping younger artists with their creativity, the way he protect his. He even joked about calling his next project Over Revenue into the whole industry, that not everything. That's where Chronixx stood. No longer the rebel or the vanished, a man who learned that sometimes silence is its power in disguise. Now, after everything, after the fame, the silence, the storms, and the scams, Chronixx stood tall again, not just as an artist, but as growth. He proved that discipline doesn't mean defeat. It means rebirth. The boy from Spanish Town who once played drums in church became the man who turned reggae into a global movement of mindfulness, love, and resilience. With Exile, he didn't just drop music for the message. That sometimes the last thing you can do is move in silence. His fire never burned out. It just shifted, new to glow. From mentoring young coders to planting literal roots in Jamaican soil, he showed the world that legacy on cloud, it's built on purpose. And the wildest part, he's still not done. The story of Chronixx isn't a comeback, continuation, a living rhythm that's evolving. Whether he's or just being a father, is now a place of realness. If this story hit you, if it made you feel something, don't just like, share, and drop a comment about your favorite Chronixx moment. Tell us what part of his journey inspired you the most. Subscribe for more untold stories about music's legends. Trust me, it's already growing, quietly, just like the melons he planted in silence.